What's up, everybody? This is Abnormal FPV and I'm in Fusion360 today. We're going to look at designing a custom part, and I'll focus on just one. It'll be like a base plate, so you can design like a camera mount or some type of mount for whatever quad you want. And we're going to take a picture with our phones, and then whatever means you need to get it over to your computer, please do that. And then using that picture, we're going to design the part. Well, the picture and some measurements. So I'm just going to use my cell phone and not measuring anything. Okay, there's two pictures. I'm gonna do a measurement real quick. And let's do width, the whole width here. .36, about 36 millimeters. And 33.8, I don't know, 34. Huh. And center hole to center hole. About 29 millimeters. So we'll use that. 29 millimeters center hole to center hole widthwise, and 36 wide on the frame. Let's see how it goes. Okay, here's my pictures. As you can see, I took one as square as possible, and then I took some measurement pictures. The better you can get that first picture, the easier it's going to be for the next steps here. I'm not a wizard at Fusion, and I don't claim to be, but I learned this recently and I thought it was cool. So anyway, get those pictures to your computer, and then we're going to use it as a canvas by going to insert here and then select canvas, and then select that picture that you just got on your computer, and we're going to upload it. Let's see, I've got mine in the downloads here, and then we'll have to select what plane we want it on. I'm going to put it on this one. It looks like the most reasonable. I don't know if it's the x-axis or what, but regardless, plop it down, and then we're going to scale it to size, and we're gonna do that by selecting the canvas over in the left hand drop down menu, and you need to actually drop it down and select that individual canvas, right click, go to calibrate, and then zoom in on wherever you took those measurements so you can get the best one possible. And for the holes here, I'm just clicking center hole and selecting one point, and then moving over to the other one and doing the same thing to the best of my ability. And then it should give me a measurement, which I will adjust here. So it's 5.3 millimeters. Well, our measurement is 29 millimeters. So let's change that to 29 millimeters, and it should get really big. There we go. Okay, this should be the correct size. So just to be sure, let's measure it. But I'm going to try to measure it here with the measuring tool. There's no geometry down yet, so there's not really anything for it to measure. At least that's why I think it doesn't work. So we're going to just do the calibrate tool again without changing anything, and it'll give us the measurement without, as long as you don't change the number that's in there. So I'll go to calibrate and get the center hole the best you can. And let's do this measurement instead. I forget how far or how large it was. 36.5. So let's just get this as close as possible. If it's not perfect, that's understandable, but we want it to be really close. Okay. 36.7. That's probably within reason. I'm not sure if I'll measure it again here, but I think that that's probably okay. So what we're gonna do is trace around the outside edge here with some lines. We'll make a sketch. Oh, okay. Yep, I clicked one of the planes on accident and it changed the orientation. Just grab that box up in the top corner, or use, I think it's Alt or Control and click to move around. Okay. So now we want to make a sketch. So you click create and create a sketch, and then click the plane that you want to work on. So we're going to click the same one that we have our canvas on, and now we're going to start tracing the perimeter of the shape. So if you hit the L key, it'll start drawing lines with the line tool, and that's just a straight line. So I'm going to pick this corner here and start drawing lines around it. Something to note is that you can kind of see like a fuzzier edge on the outside, and then there's a cleaner edge on the inside of the shape, and it's my understanding that outer edge is the chamfer. So of course we don't have a perfect picture that's 90 degrees straight above the entire thing. So we're getting some of the extra edge in the picture, and you probably don't want to overhang on the chamfer, so just shoot for that inner edge. And the line tool is all you really need until you get to like some curves or some other like circles. That'll just be center circle tool, but we'll get to that. So let's just keep using the lines for now. And that'll get us all the way up to this corner. As you can see, the corner's curved. So what we're going to use in the corner is an arc tool. If you press the S key, it'll bring up a search menu, and then you can type in whatever tool you want. So if you press S and then start typing arc, it'll bring up arc options, and we want I think the 3-point arc, but I clicked the wrong one here, so it's not going to work right, and we want just the regular 3-point arc. So bear with me here. Just wanted to show my mistake in case some of you guys get stuck, that there's a bunch of different arc tools and all sorts of different tools. So it's easy to click the wrong one and get a little confused, and I left my mistakes in here, and I'll repeat that again so you can see them if you want to, or skip them if you want to. But anyway, this one's in here, and we'll move forward by using the right arc tool, the 3-point arc tool. It's the first one that comes up, not the third one there. The 3-point arc slot is the wrong one. So to use this, you just click wherever you want to start and wherever you want to end, and then you can adjust the center point. I've got it on the wrong plane here. That happens sometimes, so you can just move around and click the correct plane. Then continue placing your points. So this will be the end of the arc, and then as you can see, once I place that, I'll get control over the center, and you'll change the angle of that. So you can do that to get it as close as possible. A neat trick for this is if you can't get the geometry perfect, instead of redrawing all your lines and trying to figure it out, just use 2 arcs. Put one from your line and to the halfway point, and then put one from the halfway point to the end of the arc. and that'll let you make, a few more adjustments and keep it clean. So anyway, we'll go back to using the line tool. If you get stuck or you don't want to use a certain tool or place a line, you can right click and click cancel. Now we're just going to zoom through because you already know the tools. It's the line tool and the 3-point arc, and that'll get us through everything on the perimeter of the shape. Now, as you can see, I'm zooming in and out a lot just to get a cleaner, closer line, and right here I zoomed in too far and crashed Fusion. So just to be clear, that can happen. Don't zoom in too far. Be happy with what you can get and don't stress the computer out too much. So anyway, simple mistake gone wrong. So anyway, I've slowed back down here because you can finish the shape with a straight line, and that's fine. But I kind of want to put a little more flair on it and, save some weight. Most companies do that anyway, so we're going to do it, I think, a real basic, a couple angles and tie the piece together, and I'm just going to eyeball everything. So let's make this 10 millimeters, and you can do that by typing in the box here when you start creating a line, and that'll put a constraint on the line. Everything has to be constrained, and I messed that up in here, and I'll give you an opportunity to skip that because hopefully you guys don't run into the same issue. But here I'm going to do, let's see, I think a 6 millimeter line, and we're going to specify the angle as well. So once we figure out how long we want it, then you can press tab, and that will take you to the angle box instead. So there, I press tab, and I'm going to change it 125 degrees. Looks pretty good. So let's do like 6 millimeters. And yeah, we'll leave it at that. So let's do the other side here. Might need to do some math to get the angle appropriate, but we can just lock it in at 6 millimeters, and then probably need my calculator here. It's late at night when I was doing this, so my math brain wasn't working as well as it probably should have been. But what you can do is add or subtract 180 degrees to get an opposing angle. So here I clicked the divide button on accident like a dummy. Yep, of course that's not right. So let's fix that. So 180 degrees minus 125, just trying to keep it positive, it doesn't really matter. So 55 degrees, so boom, there's a 55 degrees. Oh, that didn't work in there. There we go, 55 degrees. 6 millimeters, 55 degrees, that looks pretty good, right? So then we'll just close it off, and at this point, it should have closed into a single shape where you can select the entire shape and extrude it. And if yours did do that, here's your opportunity to skip ahead to the extrusion part. But if you want to see why I messed this up, like how that happened, then you can continue watching. But from here, I'm just adding circles for the hardware. It's M3 hardware, so it's 3 millimeters. You can keep it at 3 millimeters for TPU. If it's another type of material you're printing, then make them a little larger. So anyway, 3 millimeters, and then we'll move the circle It's a center circle, by the way, so if you press the S key to search and then type in center circle, you'll see that as an option. And then you can press M once you've placed it to move it the best you can. So as you can see, there's a little bit of angle in the shot that I have, the picture. So I'm trying to account for that just a little bit, and I'll zoom through this and you can skip ahead here if I can figure out how to do that. And for all you people that are going to watch it all the way through, basically what happened and that I didn't notice was when when Fusion crashed, I saved it and reopened it and started a new sketch, as you can see on the left hand drop down menu, and half of the geometry, basically the stuff I was just clicking, is in one sketch and the other stuff is in the other sketch. So I take some time trying to figure that out, and there's a few learning lessons in there that might be useful. But as you can see, there's a black dot there. It shouldn't be black, it should be non-existent or not there at all. So that indicates that the shape is not closed. A closed shape basically has fully constrained geometry, so if you picked it up and moved it, things wouldn't like fall off or get stuck to other things. Like, it's one whole shape and everything is told where it's supposed to be. So clearly I have an issue, but I can see everything, so it doesn't really make sense why it's not closed. So I spend some time trying to look for that and reconstraining things, and like I'm making it perpendicular, I don't know, just trying to add constraints because I couldn't figure out where it's not constrained, especially since we closed the shape off completely. So anyway, should be zooming through this here at some point. I'm pretty sure I fast forwarded through a lot of this, but let's see. So basically between this black dot here and the black dot on the bottom, that is all in one sketch, in sketch 1. So I accidentally, I think, deleted a sketch here. So we'll go back. But this is sketch 1, and then everything else is in sketch 2 there. So I basically would zoom in and out trying to figure out why this wouldn't work. So if you get in the same pickle, just make sure that all the geometry for any one shape is in like one sketch, at least. That's what I'm kind of gathering here. So that if you want, to make this base plate, then it needs to be in one sketch so that you can extrude it and make a body and then have something to start designing the rest of it from. So anyway, what I did was I copied all the geometry from sketch 2, went back to sketch 1, and double clicked it to start editing, and I'm replacing the geometry from sketch 2 into sketch 1, and it came off on a weird axis, so I'm using the circle tools to rotate it on different axes and then get it as close as possible to where it needs to be so it looks right. And as you can see here, there's a lot of moving going on. You got to be careful that you don't click off of the geometry somewhere, because then it'll deselect everything and it's pretty hard to get everything reselected. But you can, I think, hold shift and just draw boxes around it to get it there if you need to, and then fix everything. So see here, I zoomed in and fixed that little line, but it's still not closed. So what I ended up doing was redrawing those lines over top, and once I started doing that, it closed itself eventually. So I deleted what I just drew at the top right there, and then once I started drawing the lines back in, it started closing itself. So as you can see, I'm still trying to figure it out, going back and forth and fixing everything just a little bit, moving it here and there. But what it comes down to is the constraints weren't there because I didn't have the geometry together, and then once I brought it back in the same sketch, I didn't constrain them enough together. They were still like separate sketches until I made some of those larger lines together. Fusion is tricky. It's been a long learning process, and like I said, I'm still learning. So don't quit if you're just starting, and try to use Google to ask your question in a different way if you're not getting the right answer, because it's mostly on there. Fusion is pretty well documented. So, okay. Did something I didn't like. So here we go. Now, as you can see, once I hover over the sketch 1, and you can see that it's fully closed once we move some of those lines around and fixed it all. So we can, oh sorry, it looks like sketch 2 is what is closed. But anyway, you can select the whole shape once you hover over it with your mouse, or you hover over sketch 2 in that panel. And that's what we need. So we've got our circles for the hardware and the whole shape drawn, and it's, you know, we traced it. This isn't perfect, but it looks pretty good. What we're going to do is press E to extrude. So that's going to make the shape three-dimensional. I'm not sure how thick you guys would make yours. I think if you've watched my remixing and Tinkercad video, you could make it really thick and then just cut it if you want to remix this into something else and leave it, you know, here. Or you could make it whatever size you want and then continue designing afterwards too. So I think like, I don't know, 2 or 3 millimeters is probably good. Yeah, I think that's too thick at 4, and most are probably like 2, so I can still cut this if I want and then put some stuff on top of it, or leave it how it is too. That's fine. But anyway, that's good. So we will select that, press enter when you're ready, and yeah, I don't think I want 2. 3 is a little thick, but 2 is not quite thick enough for me, but we're just practicing here. I'm just kind of showing you how everything works, so you dial it in as you need. And now we have our shape. So make sure you're saving your progress. I know there's a timeline at the bottom that I don't really know. It's kind of mysterious to me right now, but anyway. And then this is ready for printing, so we'll go to 3D print and we'll export it as a 3MF, which is the project file. So then select your body that you want, which is what we just extruded, and name it however you please. Even though I do this every time, I still get the name as body 1 or body whatever in the slicer, so just keep an eye out for that. It still might say whatever the body number is instead of what you named it, but that is what it is. So I've got it to go in my downloads folder, so let's check that out. There it is. Let's put it in Orca-Slicer and slice it up and print it. Come on, Orca. I'm not going to go through settings and everything. I'm not going to change them here. If you want to see TPU settings for FPV, I've got another video. Please check that out. That gets into the settings a little bit better. But for this one, we're going to just leave the settings because I care about how it fits, not really about the composition, since I'm not designing anything extra. So yeah, let's just go ahead and slice it, and we'll export it and get it on the printer. Alright, so we got the mount base off the printer. Here it is. You can see that excuse me, I have some like 15% stock infill on here, not 100. but I didn't want to waste a bunch of filament just to, test out if it fits. So anyway, moment of truth here. I'd say that looks pretty darn good. Let's put some hardware in there just to make sure. Perfect fit. Well, there you have it, everybody. Very basic design. It's definitely not perfect, but it's pretty dang good, especially for eyeballing it, since we traced, the top plate instead of measuring everything. And I think this is extremely viable to make all sorts of TPU parts for all sorts of your stuff. Now, if you need critical components or something that's perfectly sized, I'd recommend maybe measuring, the perimeters, and then from the center hole to the edges and in multiple axes too. And then also, across, you want to go like diagonal measurements, and then use all those measurements to cross-check your design after, or during rather. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for some more. Please like and comment and subscribe if you have any interest in this stuff and you'd like to chat about some future tutorials or suggest anything. And thanks again.